Okay, everyone, welcome. We'll get started in just a second. Welcome to those who are new. Welcome. It's so good to see you all. And as always, go ahead and put your prayer requests up if you have them and introduce yourself in the chat. Particularly would love to see who's new to the space. And what else? And hopefully I'll get to see maybe some of you next month, August. In retreat, we have several retreats in New England. We're doing, including Wonderwell. Our friends Denise and Zach are planning a retreat in Vermont. That's second week, third week in August. So many things. Western Massachusetts next Sunday, New York City, young adult retreat next Saturday. A little event in Baltimore on the 23rd, if you live in the Baltimore, Maryland area, or DC, you know, Baltimore is close enough to DC, and Philly as well, actually. You can find all that on my website as well. So hopefully I get to see some of you in person. It's my last big push before we really start doing book events, at which point you'll be very sick hearing about the new saints. But I don't think you will, because it's going to be so overwhelming for many of you that this is going to be a gift that's going to keep on giving for everyone. I promise you. I promise you're not ready for this one. But yeah. What else? I know a lot of us are really just tired, emotionally tired, physically tired. That's just been everyone I'm talking to and sitting with people are just super drained for many reasons, every reason. You know, we just can't blame it on Venus for taking a moment away. Even though I like to, because it's a distraction from real issues in the world. But yeah, we have to adjust the pace. You have to be very sensitive to the energy. Your body is really investing in survival. And as we used to say growing up, you have to govern yourselves accordingly. You know? So I have definitely been really slowed down and just resting and, you know, just trying to, you know, stay well myself. So many people are leaving us. Sinead O'Connor left us.
Yes.
Yes. And who else? What else has happened this past week? You know, aliens, right? You know, which I'm not interested for a very different reason than everyone else is, I guess. Like I already solved that for myself like 40 years ago about aliens, you know? So that's not really, I watched X-Files. I know that the government is always hiding secrets. So and I bet you X-Files is gonna have a big comeback now. I promise you. That's how these things go. Okay, so again, welcome everyone. Paul Rubin, yep, this today or yesterday. Pee Wee Herman, right? Um, yeah, so just come, welcome everyone. Those who are just coming in. Again, prayer requests. Introduce yourself. Say hello. Um, yeah, questions, which I think we'll have time for questions. I think I'm gonna get started pretty soon with practice for sure. And I say that, right? That's you should really know when I say I'm gonna start practice soon, that means we're gonna be starting in about an hour. But I feel sassy. I feel like I want to prove you wrong tonight. So we'll see. Right. And again, my online events, the Dharma of Spiritual Abolition, beginning on August 27th, a 3 Sunday Dharma talk and practice. So again, find that on my website. We'll be exploring spiritual abolition. I'm really going to be talking a little bit about the book, just exploring what I understand spiritual abolition to be, using the Heart Sutra as a foundation to talk about really getting free through contradictions, which is, I think, a way for us to understand how Dharma Buddhism talks about freedom, is that we can be free in an unfree world, knowing that the world is an illusion, that we are not trying to beat or outrun, but we're actually trying to get into the essence of, as a way to experience mental freedom, and how that mental freedom takes us into ultimate freedom as well. So, in any case, that's coming up. I remember um, some of you may know Trudy Goodman, who teaches out in LA. Trudy Goodman is Jack Hornfield's um, wife. Um, and I remember one year, I guess this was 2019 or 2018, um, she had invited me to come out um, and do like a teaching with her. And we decided to do the Fire Sutra. Um, and the Fire Sutra is a teaching about the Buddha, where essentially he talks about how the world is always on fire, right? That because you've just noticed the fire doesn't mean that it just started. And of course, that's really about impermanence, the illusionary quality of reality, and how do we develop a relationship with that. And of course, it was during a lot of fires out in LA during that time, and it was such a super surreal kind of teaching. You're teaching in the face, you're teaching in the mist, in the face of rapid fire in the world. And I've been thinking about just about the intensity of teaching, and more particularly how Dharma itself really asks us to like go to that edge, you know, to say that like literally if your city is on fire, then you have to say, but everything has always been on fire. Like there's an edge that Dharma asks you to go over, right? Um, and how risky that is to practice like that, you know, and how hard that is right now, you know, how hard it is to practice like that, to say, yeah, there's real catastrophe happening. It has been real catastrophe happening for a very, very long time. And I can't let it distract me from practicing, from going further. Like if my city or my yard, I remember in that teaching with Judy, there was someone, a woman there who was like, no, literally my yard, my land is on fire right now, you know, or was or something, but it was like something very dramatic. Um, and and the teaching remained the same. And it's like, yeah, this is on fire, you know, and this is real and it's also an illusion. And you have to practice in the intersections of that, you know, that everything's on fire, not just your yard, you know, not just other people's homes and then, you know, areas, but like everything's always on fire, you know. Um, and how do you just stay with that intense realization, you know, that essentially the world isn't meant for me to be comfortable in. Like this is some samsara, or what I call the carceral state in New Saints and Spiritual Abolition, which you will learn if you do the course, but you'll learn it when you read the book anyway. So, but you know, samsara being the carceral state, this experience of kind of being bound because we get distracted by the realness of everything. Everything becomes so material, but there's no fluidity, there's no movement. It's just what we can sense. There are sense faculties. It's only what we can feel or what we can see or touch or whatever, and how our sense faculties are actually lying to us, you know? And that's Dharma. That's exactly what the Buddha taught. And it's just so full on, you know? My yard is on fire, my house may be on fire, and it's not happening at the same time, you know? And how do you deal with that? And that's Heart Sutra, you know, that's really Heart Sutra work, right? And I say all of this too, you know, I bring up all of this right now because these are really hard times to practice the intensity of Dharma, you know? And I say that, and I also say that you don't have a choice either, you know? Like you want to get free, but it's too hard right now. Depending on your circumstances, this may be a really easy time, even though you think you're struggling. There may be a more difficult time where you're being asked to practice through, right? So anyway, and I just put that out there, right? Because, you know, just even this week for me, I've been like, oh yeah, this is like full on practice right now. Like there's a lot happening, you know, and I do feel, I can feel overwhelmed and exhausted and run down. And Dharma begins with naming that this is what I'm experiencing right now. You know, this is what's going on. I may not know what to do about it, but this is where I have to start, is naming what's happening, right? But so many people can't do that. You know, instead of talking about climate change and these really warm temperatures and fires, it's like some people would rather be like, oh, we're not getting warmer, it's just God holding us closer. And so we're getting warmed up, you know, by his warmth. I mean, if that helps you sleep at night, and believe me, people who say that have developed very sophisticated ways, you know, to stay real comfortable, which will actually backfire eventually in a dramatic, spectacular way. You know, those intense illusions easily crack, you know, when circumstances slightly shift, right? And that kind of suffering is really hard to navigate through. Um, samsara, or the partial state, is just a lie, just a lie. It's just a lie that we've started believing in, right? And the more you start divesting from that lie, the more you transition out of this illusion into the truth of things, how easier it's going to be. There are beings who, there are beings, in these realms of existence, that it's easier to say that they will never get enlightened, because they're so intensely consumed by illusion and lies and self and attachment and fixation to self. Yes, we know there's always, we're Buddhas, we're already awakened, we've just forgotten, but there are beings who can get so far away from that possibility of enlightenment becomes like this, like thin little statistic, a narrow thing, right? They're so far away from the truth, and that's devastating, to a bodhisattva. Bodhisattva in the classical literature, right, in terms of Shantideva and so forth, right, the bodhisattva just like can't contain their sorrow because they realize how much beings are suffering and how much it will take to free them. They can't fathom that, they can't hold that, and that becomes unbearable suffering for the bodhisattva to have that compassion for beings, right? And I know some of you, maybe it's not unbearable, but like some of you do feel that, not, many of us know people, right, who are just like so far down that hole, you're just like, how are you ever going to actually get free from that delusion, from that hate, And for me, that's overwhelming, right? That's just heartbreaking, to think about that. Not to say that I have never been a being at some point in my existence over many lives that's been lost. We all have, I don't remember that, but we, as we used to say also growing up, I've come from somewhere. I started somewhere, right? And it wasn't maybe in the light, right? But I'm grateful that I am in the light now. So I've often said that you won't be able to save everyone. And that's true. Like, you're not going to save, everyone. And that's a part of the mourning that we do as people committed to liberation, right? And I have all this kind of set up in New Saints as well. I call it the 7 sorrows of the new saint. And the new saint is, essentially a bodhisattva, and part of the sorrow of the bodhisattva is understanding that they're not going to save everyone. No matter how much work they do, they'll never get they'll never get everyone on board to liberation work. Actually, some people may see you and get completely turned off from liberation work, right? It's not necessarily about you, but it's really about our misunderstanding, of what liberation and freedom is. These are the things that, we have to really contemplate and work with in our practice. And that's how you stay really present, and kind of get out of these narratives that we tell ourselves to limit the impact of the truth of things. So everything's on fire, and now how do I practice being on fire? Which is another teaching in Dharma, to practice as if your head is on fire. Such vivid, images, in Buddhism, particularly Tibetan Buddhism, as well. Okay. Where is it stated again? The unbearable suffering of the Bodhisattva. And some, let's see, I would look at Shantideva, but once you become a Bodhisattva, you'll get it. You'll lose a lot of sleep once you start giving a shit. I promise you. That's how much compassion you have to embody, right? Where you're just like so oversensitive to people suffering. It's not that you're taking it on. The Bodhisattva isn't trying to take on suffering of the world, but you just feel it, and you desperately want beings not to suffer, because you know what it's like to suffer. That's where we need to be. That's where we need to be, period. The unbearable suffering of the Bodhisattva, right, is the heartbreak, that you're vowing to free all beings, and you have to stay tuned to that. And you have to understand that you're not going to save all beings at the same time, right? That's the Heart Sutra. Like, you have to do it, but it's not possible, right? But you keep going, right? And a part of the reason you can keep going is that you forget that you're trying to get anywhere to begin with, right? Because ultimately there's nowhere to go. It's just a slight remembering, right, of who you are, what everyone else is. How's the Bodhisattva embrace the entirety of suffering without taking it on? Well, the Bodhisattva realizes that they're just expressions of emptiness, right? Exactly what you said, emptiness. I am just an expression of space, emptiness, energy. This sense of ego creates this illusion that there is a self to experience suffering. So even then, right, this is always, as an embodied being, as an embodied Bodhisattva, your goal isn't to get rid of the ego. You have to stay in proximity to a sense of self and ego, because that's the only way you can be here. Like, you can't help ego beings if you have exhausted ego. Right? This is why we have teacher-student abuse with teachers whom we consider to be enlightened. Like, there's always proximity to ego. If there's no proximity to ego, there's no way you could communicate, as a bodhisattva, right? There's no way you could actually even register in this realm if you weren't hovering around ego. You may realize the illusion of ego, but that has to be balanced with the sense of, with emptiness itself, because if emptiness wins, you're gone again, and that defeats the purpose of coming back and helping. Like, it's a sweet, what is it? It's like, what is it? It's like, it's like I'm just going to use this example because this is the best example. Well, I mean, maybe I shouldn't go to the most intense example that I can think of since we're a mixed group. You know? But there's something I'm thinking about which perfectly illustrates it, but I don't have the energy to go into it. But I would say,
Please,
brains? Who said that?
please.
Sure, okay. So it's like orgasm, right? So it's like in the midst of orgasm, it's like teetering on that bliss, but choosing not to fall into the bliss, but to stay grounded in your body and the relative, knowing how sweet it would be just to surrender completely to that experience of bliss. But you can't, because you will dissolve into that bliss and leave everyone behind. And that's what a realized bodhisattva's experience of the world is that at any time you can surrender, but you can't, right? So that surrendering is returning home. Like, you always know how easy it is to go back, to return back, to let go of ego, to return back to emptiness and bliss and joy. But you can't, because that's not going to help anyone except for yourself. Right? And that's so much of the struggle. You know, it's the balance. It's like, I have to ride these two extremes, right? And so my experience, and when I say my in general as a bodhisattva, right, a bodhisattva's experience is like, oh, like, not only am I here to help, on top of that, I'm always being reminded that at any time I can make a choice to slip back into bliss instead of being here. And if you're not holding that with practice, then that becomes an expression of resentment. You know, you start resenting beings because you feel as if they're forcing you to do something, you know, that is outside of your nature. Now, but, you know, the compassion itself has to be extremely strong to hold that balance. It's like, I am here to help people because this is just a moment. Like, this experience of deep, utter discomfort, maybe, of being in a place that I'm choosing to be. Not that I don't have to be here. Like, I'm choosing to be here. I can hold that by understanding that it is part of my obligation to offer help, because there were beings who offered help to me, and I wouldn't be able to be realized and have the realization that I have if it wasn't for other compassionate bodhisattvas who also had to walk that line, offering me care and support when they didn't have to. Right? Compassion is kind of a choice. Compassion, you know, like, do you have to be a bodhisattva? No. You know, honestly, in the universal scheme of things, you know, I just say there are a lot of beings who don't get involved, right? They're set. They're set. They're in their realms. They're awakened. They don't have to get involved with these realms of delusion, and they don't get involved, right? I mean, this is it's very interesting, you know, to think about. But yeah, but then there are beings who are just like, who see this, they know that, and they do what they can, you know, to pull the rest of us out. I personally have been the recipient of profound compassion from these kinds of beings, and therefore I understand what my obligation is. I was given to, and therefore I give to others, right? Um, I will offer Bodhisattva vows in the future, definitely, like sooner than later, absolutely. Um, I'm just in the process of really understanding how to make the Bodhisattva vow rooted in this world and in the complexities of this world and the complexities of identity, to make it less general and very specific. Right. There are a lot of people who take Bodhisattva vows who are some mean motherfuckers in this world. Anyway, didn't come out right. What I meant to say is that, a Bodhisattva vow should be very specific to the complexities of the time that we're living in. Not just, oh, I vow to free all beings, but I want a Bodhisattva that says that, like, if I am a white person, I vow to disrupt white supremacy. If I am a cis man, I vow to disrupt patriarchy, and so forth and so on. I live on this planet, I vow, right, to heal the planet. Stuff like that. That's why I'm talking about specificity. This is what it's a social vow as well as an ultimate vow. I vow to go where the work is, right? And this is the work. I want to get specific. This is the work, because we can just bypass all of this. It's easy to do. I see people do it all the time. Yeah. Okay. So let's start practice. And yeah, we'll just see what happens with our practice. I'm thinking gentle, I'm thinking fluid. We'll see. We'll see what happens, right? But to begin though, I just, sorry, I'm a little distracted. So to begin with, I just want to start with a short contemplation or reflection based upon everything that I've been talking about. So to begin with, I think it's always hope. Hope is very, very important, you know. And so as we begin our practice, I just invite you just for a minute or two, just to really open and contemplate how we, or I, if you want to just make it more personal, but how I or we are not alone in the struggle to get free. We're not alone on this planet. We're not alone in the unseen worlds and realms. We're not alone in the universe, right? That there are countless beings, yes, who are suffering, who are lost in delusion, and there are countless beings who are also realized, right? Who are awakened, right? And there are many beings, more than we can possibly imagine, who are here in this world system, in this timeline with us, working alongside us to experience liberation, right? Not just social liberation, ultimate liberation as well. So just think about that. You may not believe that this may be a hard thing to contemplate, but just open to the possibility that there may be a lot of help, a lot of support, a lot of beings right now in this second conspiring, working to disrupt the causes and conditions of suffering so that we can awaken to our true natures. And of course, Medicine Buddha is one of those beings. Okay, 30 more seconds. What would it feel like to even just imagine that these beings who are here to help, and you don't have to know who these beings are, right? But these beings are just all around us all the time, helping, trying to figure out how to meet our needs and so forth. What does it feel like, right? Just to slowly imagine or sense or just believe that these beings are with us. Like even literally just holding space around us right now. When you're ready, I would like to transition into our first mantra, our opening mantra, which is Om Minla Sange Kino Soha. Om Minla Sange Kino Soha, Medicine Buddha. Please think of me. And to chant this as a as a as all mantras I think are and can be, as a form of prayer, of an asking, of an evoking in the midst of being surrounded and thus tended to by so many beings who want me to be free. I pray to you specifically, Medicine Buddha, Minla Sangye, to think of me, right? And this is a moment of intentional selfishness with no negative connotation here. This is a moment of intentionally calling to the deity, to the Buddha, to support me in my work of healing and getting free and helping others. Right, as we chant, as you chant, I just encourage you to open, to receive. And I want to leave it as vague and ambiguous as that. Like whatever that means for you, to open, to receive, to let go, and to start believing in whatever way is appropriate that you deserve care and support. Because the problem, we can sit and talk about all the beings around us all day long, but many of us continue to create blocks and walls, which makes it difficult for these beings to really support us, to take care of us on this path. We're so deeply walled up that we have to do intense work with deities to begin to dissolve those barriers, to start letting kindness and care, into our experience, to begin to relax and open, right? So it's like, it's like the flower meditation that we do sometimes. It's like the flower has to open and bloom to let the sun in, or something like that. So I have to open to let energies move and shift. I have to open to allow the pain, the sadness, the disappointment to have space, right? And this is what we're essentially doing, is the space. Like I'm opening to remember space and letting space be very present instead of always shutting down and contracting around the suffering. And it is the space where all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas arise from to take care of these experiences of suffering. But that can't happen if I don't let myself open, right, to the blessings of the deity, which again is an expression of just space. The deity blesses us through spaciousness. And in space, we can remember and experience emptiness, beginning to know that all phenomena arises from that emptiness, including our suffering, including our ego, including the Buddhas themselves. Right? So going into the mantra again, Min La Sangye Kino Soha. We're going to start with a long and chant 3 times, and we'll close with the long at the end. Okay, so we'll begin. Om. Om La Sangye Kino So Om La Sangye Kino So Om La Sangye Kino So Om. So just sitting, noticing any shifts, any opening, getting curious. And in this space, we're going to move into the first part of our main mantra, which is Teya Taon Bekense, Maha Bekense, Rasa Sumungate, Soha. And I want to start it out, this first round at least, just like very, very calm. I'm not going to use the drum to begin with, but just this like really easeful, steady, slightly softer cadence here. And again, what are we doing? Opening, resting, connecting to the energetic resources around us as beings who are trying to help us. Beginning or continuing, really, attuning to this particular consciousness of Medicine Buddha. Right? And when we're needing a sense of grounding and holding, we know that the seat is under us. We feel the earth beneath us. Right? So connecting right, to the weight of our bodies and the seat rising to hold us. Connecting to the earth under us, maybe feeling the floor under us. But it's more than just feeling the floor or something tangible, but it's connecting to the consciousness also of the earth, the elemental consciousness of the earth. And that's abstract as well, right? But to think about the earth in this way, in terms of connecting to the earth, is touching the earth, connecting to the earth. And once you feel that psychic connection, then the earth can root you, support you, right? And it's as simple as that, right? Connecting to the earth, connecting to the seat, opening, right? Allowing the spaciousness to give birth to medicine Buddha. Allowing ourselves to be tended to. And that's where we're going to start with our mantra, okay? All right, we begin. Oh, te ata be can say. Sorry, I'll start again. O te ata be can say ma be can say rasa sumunga te soa. Te ataum veganze, ma veganze, rasa sumunga te soam. Te ataum veganze, ma veganze, rasa sumunga te soam. Te ataum veganze, ma veganze, rasa sumunga te soam. Te ataum veganze, veganze, rasa sumunga te soam. Te ataum veganze, ma veganze, rasa sumunga te soam. Te ataum veganze, ma veganze, rasa sumunga te soam. Te ataum veganze, ma veganze, rasa sumunga te soam. Te ataum veganze, ma veganze, rasa sumunga te soam. Te ataum veganze, ma veganze, rasa sumunga te soam. Te ataum veganze, ma veganze, rasa sumunga te soam. Te sumuga tesua Deyanda Beganze Beganze Ma Beganze Raza sumuga tesua Deyanda Beganze Beganze Ma Beganze Raza Gatesua Eada Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Su Gatesua Eada Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumunga Pessoa Beanda Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumunga Pessoa Beanda Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumunga Pessoa Deanda Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumunga Pessoa Deanda Begenze Begenze ma begenze raza sumo gate soa de anda begenze begenze ma begenze raza sumo gate soa de anda begenze 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 raza sumuga tesoa 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 de anda begenze begenze ma begenze raza sumuga tesoa de anda begenze begenze ma begenze raza sumuga tesoa de anda begenze begenze ma begenze raza sumuga tesoa de anda begenze begenze ma begenze raza sumuga tesoa de anda begenze begenze ma begenze raza sumuga tesoa de anda begenze 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 raza sumuga tesoa de anda begenze 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 begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzo sumo gande zua, deya daum begenze, begenze, So shifting our attention to our prayer requests, and as always, just again inviting all of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Dharma protectors, all beings of light, all benevolent ancestors, all the guardians and protectors of the land and the elements, and all beings of all the 10 directions, to really assemble in the space with us, as we offer these prayer requests. And asking these beings to work on our behalf to bring about the fruition of these prayers. On this last day of July, I'm offering prayers for myself as I understand my role as a leader in my community, to understand power and to utilize it with compassion and clarity. For Trisha as she continues to work on her heart as she deals with cancer and chemo. Prayers that my partner and I find the right home for us with ease and comfort. Prayers for my sweet friend Melody and her body as she navigates tiredness. Offering prayers for Nina and Rishi and their protection, good health and well-being, for all beings in all realms and all timelines to reach freedom with as much ease as quickly and as possible. That all beings benefit from the blessings of my life. Prayers that my body heals from injury, that liberatory energy surrounds me always, and that all that I do orients towards freedom. That I meditate diligently in full faith, that I do works as I navigate the ivory tower and finish this MF degree. Ashe. Offering prayers for my husband Keith for his autoimmune disorder, and for me, Joe, to find my true self as I work for mental and emotional healing. Offering prayers for Carl and Francesca, who will be spending the better part of the first week of August in a red state. May they be protected. May their ancestors and benefactors be with them. Prayers for Stefania as her cancer treatment becomes more aggressive. May she endure. May she know love in the face of terrifying illness. Prayers for Mama Rachel, whose health is up and down. Prayers for myself and others feeling lost in confusion and depression. Prayers for everyone in recovery. Prayers for Sarah, Aiden, and Brennan, for may they be happy and free from suffering. Prayers for myself as I travel by plane tomorrow night and drive home. May I be safe and free from harm. Prayers for Liz, who is giving birth today, and for her baby. Prayers for my father, may he be well. Prayers for myself, may I be well. Prayers for my partner, that he may get the needed job he recently interviewed for. Prayers for Adria, may she find safe housing. Prayers for my children, may they feel loved and supported. Prayers for my partner and I as we find our way through the next chapter of our relationship, that we may both have the courage, clarity, and wisdom to move into what helps us each grow and become more free, independently, and collectively. And may all beings achieve liberation as soon as possible. Prayers for myself as I follow my intuition and search for a meaningful life. Prayers for Merle as they live with disability in a system that does not nurture us. Prayers for Melissa as she continues to encounter challenges in business and health. Prayers for me as I contemplate my livelihood so I can contribute to a home and life with my partner. Prayers for our sacred Mother Earth, for the lineage holders throughout the ages, and for all supportive spirits and ancestors. Offering prayers that my cats find a good home. Offering prayers for M, who is dealing with cancer. Prayers for Maria Luisa Baez, who is preparing to die and struggling to let go and transition. Also send help to her family as they struggle to hold space for Maria's struggles as well as their own. Prayers for my sister, may she be free and protected always. Prayers for healing for myself, for physical and emotional pain and the loss of energy accompanying all that. Prayers to feel helped and for real rest. Prayers for so many friends, Kathy, Hava, Mahan, Linda Rodriguez, Cheryl, for my daughter and her health and her family, and safe trip to Wisconsin and back. For my son, interviewing for a new job tomorrow morning. Prayers for all in their time of great fear, fatigue, pain, and intensity, with prayers that they feel supported and soothed during their huge event Thursday, that they feel tended to by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of all the realms, so that they can find ways to settle the nervous system, let the help in, so they can eventually have a safe, clean, comfortable place to live, so they can thrive and thus give to others as they long to do, for others. Prayers from me for soothing and healing of the many injuries through my body, for the courage to be with the pain and fear, to not rush it all away, to be brave with the vulnerability of my body and my heart, to be kind to myself, prayers that I forgive myself. Prayers for Curry during her job transition. May she find ease and her clients find healing. Prayers for Lori as she navigates heartbreak and health challenges. Prayers for Monique. May she find employment and safe housing. Prayers for my sister. May they receive the love they deserve and so freely give. I'm offering prayers for Patrick, my brother. I continue to offer prayers for all of us struggling to experience freedom, wellness, and belonging in systems of violence and institutions of alienation. May all systems of harm and separation be completely abolished, and may we all remember our innate Buddhahood, our innate wakefulness. May we all get free as quickly as possible. We offer these prayers to all those beings, and we ask these enlightened, awakened beings to bring about the fruition of all of our prayers for those we love and for the prayers for ourselves as well. That all beings may be freed from the causes and conditions of suffering. And just release the power, the intensity, the energy, even the clinging to these prayers. Just release them into the space around us, into the care of all these beings who are always here trying to help us, and let them do work for us. And as we return back to our mantra, and we just continue So we just continue to open, to be within this field of care, letting whatever needs to be tended to, if it's our hearts, whatever it may be, let the space in, let the blessings, the consciousness of Medicine Buddha tend to what we struggle to be with for ourselves. And we continue. O te adam begenze, begenze ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te adam begenze, begenze ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te adam begenze, begenze ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te adam begenze, begenze ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te adam begenze, begenze ma begenze, raza sumungate soa. Te adam begenze, begenze ma begenze, soa. Deyanda begenze begenze ma begenze razu gante zoa. 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 Deyanda begenze begenze ma begenze razu gante soa. Deyanda begenze begenze ma begenze razu soa. Deyanda begenze begenze ma begenze razu gante 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 soa. Deyanda begenze begenze ma begenze And as we begin to just transition out of practice, we make a final prayer that the blessings of all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, all beings of light and benefit, that their blessings continue to remain with us, sharing these blessings with all beings whom we encounter, and keeping these blessings strong and this protection and this healing strong until we meet again. When you're ready, just returning your attention back to the seat, noticing the weight of the body, making contact with the seat. Grounding ourselves, offering movement back into our bodies, maybe moving through a few deep exhalations. And then we'll chant, not chant, but recite Shantideva's prayer 3 times together before we end our time. We'll recite this 3 times. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. And just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I be the source of all life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. Okay. All right. Thank you all so much for your practice. And please join me this week for Free Radicals on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard time. So again, check my website for login information, okay? Or just to register, really. Okay, all right, well, thank you, everyone, so much for your practice. And if I don't see you Thursday, I'll see you at some point in person or next Monday, okay? There's not a retreat in DC. There's an event in Baltimore on the 23rd, which I say there's an event in Baltimore on the 23rd. Is it a public event? But I will be there. I think it is. Um, it is a big kind of like community book reading. I'm doing a book reading. I think I'm doing Love and Rage. Actually, now that I think about it, I just don't know. You know, um, I yeah. It's really best not to ask me about what I'm doing. Honestly, like this, we've been down this road before, um, often actually. So always check my website. Check the website. You know, or just email my website, and Vivian will let you know what's really going on in life. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, and we just continue practicing, continue watch the recordings, and just continue working with these practices. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all very much. Please be well. Oh my God, I felt like a real Buddhist. Ugh. God.